You know, the thing is about timepieces that you can find them anywhere. Some people actually have made timepieces.
All timepieces have been made by people.
That's right, they have. That's a good point, Joe. All timepieces have been made by men. But the thing is, sometimes kids like to get on this too, and they like to, say, hey, let me see if I can make this clock. And then, show my teacher, hey, I made a clock for class. In which case, unless you're, living in Texas and you happen to be another nationality or religion, and then in which case that's probably not a good idea, at least in their minds anyway, because a boy age 14, he's Muslim, named Ahmed Mohammed. Some teacher thought because they saw a clock with flashing lights on it, every clock I've seen, with the exception, the old style turn thing there, usually has some kind of flashing lights on it. If it's digital, has some kind of lighting system on there. He basically made out of components which you can buy at any Radio Shack. Now the thing was, his teacher, actually shouldn't say his teacher, but a fellow teacher of his teacher saw this clock in his hands and thought it was a bomb. So she reported it, and the police came and arrested him. Now what's terrible about this, not because he was arrested, because he made a clock and the teacher thought it was a bomb, the police violated his civil rights along with it. According to Family Texas Code, Section 52.025, it states, a child may not be left unattended in a juvenile processing office and is entitled to be accompanied by the child's parent, guardian, or other custodian, or by the child's attorney, which he was not. They basically just arrested him, and then they took him off to juvie. Joe, your thoughts?
Let's say you're walking on a beach, and you come across a homemade clock. Now, you're not going to sit there and just assume that the clock appeared all by itself. You're going to say, God made that clock.
Because why not? It's sitting on the beach in the middle of nowhere.
Right, because all timepieces that are found just sitting on a beach were made by God.
Right.
It's science. Look it up. Now, this thing, I heard about it, and I was like, it's stupid, fucking racist in Texas bullshit. And I heard that the president has invited him now to bring the clock to the White House, and and that's cool. And like the hashtag I stand with Ahmed trended on social media, and that was cool. And I saw a lot of really funny memes about it. But somebody posted something this morning that I thought was really interesting. It's a post from somebody named Andy Illis, I think it is. Mm-hmm. And it's been getting shared around Facebook a little bit. And it says, I said, it's sad that they thought the kid had a bomb. She said, they didn't think he had a bomb. I said, yes, they thought he made a bomb and even called the police. She said, they just wanted to humiliate the little Muslim African boy. They didn't think he had a bomb. I said,
Jesus Christ.
Don't be a conspiracy theorist. They might be a little prejudiced, but sure, they thought he had a bomb. She said, okay, but they didn't evacuate the school like you would do when there's a bomb. They didn't call the bomb squad like you would do when there's a bomb. They didn't get as far away from him as possible like you do when there's a bomb. They put him and the clock in the office, not like you do when there's a bomb. They waited with him for the police to arrive, and then they put the clock in the same car as the police.
Yeah.
Then they took pictures of it. So, I mean, right there, boom. Like, they never, ever thought that was a bomb.
No.
They just wanted to fucking humiliate this kid.
Yes, they did. And the other thing here is, this other child, now he's 14 years old, and he built a fucking nuclear reactor. And he had help from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And this was also in Texas. And they offered his assistance equipment encouraged to apply for a research grant.
My God.
Yeah.
I want to be a white kid from Texas now.
Other kid's name is Tyler Wilson, who is white, entered his nuclear fusion reactor 5 years ago in a series of science fairs that eventually won him his trip to Switzerland, which he toured to a large hadron collider. Now
the Swiss pulled him aside and said, stop making these things. They're not for kids.
Stop making a clock. No. He's 21 years old now, and he won a $50,000 grant at a science fair for an anti-terrorism device he invented that can detect nuclear materials in cargo containers. Just to put a pin in this, the fact is that if somebody say out there saying, oh, this wasn't about race, this wasn't about religion, fuck it was. Here's some other examples. A black Florida teen was arrested and expelled back in April of 2013 after her science fair experiment, which involved a toilet bowl cleaner, aluminum foil, and a plastic water bottle, created a chemical reaction that resulted in a firecracker-like pop, and then it made some smoke. There was no injuries, no damage, but the school feared the device had violated some school policy. She probably made a volcano. It's probably what this sounds like. She made a volcano. What do volcanoes do? They explode. I'm glad that she made this because she's like, hey, this is how geology works. Oh, no, you're expelled. Why? Because it's probably been done before, and they probably had the same reaction. Like, but I bet you all those other children were white, and they had no problem with it. That girl's name was Kara Wilmot, and she was 16 then, and she was charged with discharge of a weapon on school grounds, discharging a destructive device. She was eventually cleared, and she went on to Academy for NASA veterans who heard about her story, paid this for scholarship, and for her and her twin sister. This is bullshit. This is holy bullshit. Connie, your thoughts?
Well, it's amazing how the police department and the mayor and the school have just backpedaled and tried to minimize what's happened here, too. I mean, Larry Boyd, the chief of police, calls the incident a naive accident and claims that reaction will be the same, regardless of religious beliefs. And a PR spokeswoman for the police department, Leslie Weaver, said, info made public to this point has been very unbalanced.
Right.
But according to Ahmed, an officer whom Ahmed had never seen before, when he was being detained in the principal's office, leaned back in his chair and remarked when Ahmed walked in, yep, that's who I thought it was.
Yeah.
There is a real problem. There is a growing Muslim, Middle Eastern community in Texas and in this small town in general. Matter of fact, the mosque that Ahmed and his family attend is growing so fast that they're probably going to build a satellite mosque. And they have
in orbit. They're building one in orbit.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Wow, that's
Welcome
some
to the satellite of mosque.
Welcome to a mosque satellite. We're in orbit
from west to east.
Wait. If you're in space, do you know what direction is east?
Yeah, it's all east up there.
Just face the orbital direction. There you go.
Oh goodness. Oh, it's just so. And then the mayor, a woman, Van Dyne, earlier this year, she was very famously being promoted. She was being talked about on the news that she was part of promoting this bill in Texas, kind of dubbed the anti-Sharia law, and primarily it was focusing on how the Muslim mosques were having their own tribunals to try things like divorce and maybe disputes between other other Muslims over finances or business disputes. But a tribunal, I went ahead and I looked it up because I knew the word, but I didn't know really what it meant. Tribunals are normal for all churches, for denominations, whether they're Jewish or Christian or Muslim. And it's actually advocated in the New Testament. Said, that's where Paul says, take your disputes to each other. Don't go to the courts,
Right.
And deal with these things in-house if you can. And actually, the Supreme Court even has consistently ruled that judges and other government officials may not interpret religious doctrine or rule on theological matters, that, that these things are not subverting civil law. And so, it's just, I don't know, the mayor's trying to make it sound like, well, this was just all we cared about in Ahmed's case was the safety of our children, but exactly everything that Joe is saying is spot on. They didn't evacuate. This is so much about race, and it's so much about xenophobia. It's not funny. It's
right.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who are not funny, Brian Fisher actually chimed in on this, which is rare. He never says a bad thing about anybody. If you believe that, I have a bridge in Brooklyn I want to sell you too. Apparently, he came out against the young Muhammad. He said that the homemade clock did look like a bomb, and he said his father ran twice for presidency of Sudan. What he failed to mention was that he was party was a Reform Party who wanted to stop beheadings and things like this. They were a more moderate group. And he actually had the audacity to go and to this, what was that fucktards that was going to burn the Koran. And he's like, he challenged somebody to come and defend it. And his father happened to show up. And, all right, if somebody challenges you to show up and you do, that's a bad thing all of a sudden because you asked them to show up. That's like saying, if you come to my house, I'll shoot you. Do you want to come over for coffee? I'm just saying, just come on over and I'll make sure I shoot you. Now, the thing is, though, he goes on and tells all this shit, just like make all this scary shit about it. And he's basically trying to build a very negative hate base against this 14-year-old child. Because why? He doesn't worship the same imaginary sky wizard that they do. Oh, actually, they do.
Yeah, they do, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
But he doesn't understand that because, their religion's a pagan religion. Their religion's not the real one. They don't worship the real God.
Not pagan.
Yeah, that's...
Their religion's based upon the illegitimate child of Abraham, right?
Yeah.